The Dallas Mavericks committed to one clear objective: a complete teardown to build around Cooper Flagg. This is the Flagg plan, and the hiring of Masai Ujiri as president is the ultimate move to execute it. But to clear the runway for this new era, the previous front office had to completely break the roster. The cost of that extreme overhaul showed up immediately in the numbers. Look at the offensive rating, 27th in the league. Now the three-point volume, 29th. Normally those two numbers put a team at the very bottom of the standings. But out of that mess, Dallas built something unusual. The defensive rating held at 19th, creating an extreme, pace-driven style to survive. To understand why this roster looks the way it does, you have to go back to the Luka trade from the year before. Flagg and Davis were supposed to share the floor. That pairing fell apart mid-season. The previous front office's response was to move Davis again, along with D'Angelo Russell, both players acquired in the original Luka deal. What came back? Chris Middleton, past his prime, Marvin Bagley III, who'd been buried on a bench, and A.J. Johnson, an unproven young guard. Dallas also gave up Jaden Hardy and Olivier Maxence Prosper in these moves, both young assets with real upside. On pure talent, this reads like a series of trades with no star walking back through the door. One piece going out, several smaller pieces coming back. But now that the season's done, the logic behind it starts to make sense. This was a cap reset. Davis was sitting on a max contract that didn't line up with Flagg's timeline. Moving him cleared that obligation and opened up room to build going forward. Add Irving's full season out, and Dallas ended up fielding a roster nobody saw coming. Ryan Nembhard, an undrafted rookie, and Musa Cisse, a block-first center, weren't short-term fill-ins. They became core rotation pieces, carrying real minutes on a team trying to figure out its identity. Now let's look at how this extreme overhaul warped the numbers on the floor. Let's start with the overall timeline shown by the team data. The top section shows where Dallas ranks across the league in each NBA.com category. The bottom section shows where they rank in the combined value of their top 10 players based on NBASDB's ability scores. And in the middle, there's an ability chart that visualizes each of those scores for the team. Start with the offensive rating. It fell from 17th last year all the way down to 27th. Scoring ability dropped from 12th to 24th. Three-point ability slid from 21st to 27th. True shooting fell from 14th to 27th. And three-point volume, 29th. Near the bottom of the league. Irving missed the whole year. Davis got moved mid-season. Between those two, Dallas lost its entire half-court scoring engine. Now here's where the numbers get a little misleading. The official assist rate actually climbed 27th up to 22nd. Looks like progress. But the underlying passing ability score sits dead last, 30th in the league. And that tells you something the assist rate doesn't. There isn't a single guy on this roster who can break a defense down off the dribble and create on his own. Nembhard flashes that ability in limited minutes, but he can't carry that load by himself. So where do those extra assists come from? It comes from pace. Dallas plays at the 4th fastest tempo in the league. They can't break teams down in the half court, so the assists they do rack up are mostly leftovers from transition, guys getting easy looks off the break after a stop. Once the game slows down and they're stuck in a set offense, it's everyone but the center just moving the ball around with nowhere to go. Now flip over to the defense, and this is where the story holds together. The underlying defense score dropped from 12th to 20th. Points allowed in the paint fell all the way to 30th, dead last. That's the guards getting beat off the dribble over and over. And yet, the official defensive rating held at 19th, basically right where it was last year. What covers for that gap is size. Rebounding ability sits at 3rd in the league. Block ability sits at 2nd. Gafford and Bagley anchored the rim all year. Defensive rebound rate jumped from 25th to 9th. Second chance points allowed dropped to 18th. Put it all together, a broken half-court offense and a roster built almost entirely around size and rim protection. That combination produces one outcome: pace. Dallas went from 12th in pace last season to 4th this year. If you can't run a set offense, sitting in the half-court just suffocates you. So the answer was, get a stop, grab the board, and run. Make up for the missing firepower with speed. Everything in this year's numbers points to the same thing: a team that gave up on half-court offense entirely and tried to survive purely on defense and transition speed. What you're looking at is a play type breakdown from NBA.com. The lighter shade shows where they ranked at the end of last season. The darker shade shows where they sit now. Two numbers matter here. Possessions tell you how often they run something. That's the philosophy. Points per possession tells you how sharp that tool actually is. That's the execution. And these numbers expose both a half-court offense that's completely stuck and the extreme survival plan they built to get around it. Start with the one thing that actually worked: transition. Last season, their transition efficiency ranked 23rd. This year, it jumped to 3rd in the league. The volume was already there, 10th in transition possessions a year ago. But with the half-court offense struggling, they pushed that volume up to 8th and sharpened the efficiency to an elite level. Cooper Flagg leads the team in transition possessions, and he's been efficient doing it. Naji Marshall and PJ Washington follow right behind him. The message is clear: stop teams, then run them off the floor, because nothing's coming easy once the game slows down. Now flip to the half-court, and it's a different picture entirely. The biggest problem is the ball handler and pick and roll. Possessions there jumped from 19th to 5th, meaning this became their primary half-court action, but the scoring efficiency on those possessions sits at 26th. That's about as bad as it gets. Flagg, who isn't a natural point guard, carries the highest volume here. And in isolation, it's the same story. 26th in efficiency, despite his effort. With Irving out all year, Dallas lost the one player who could break a defense down on his own and bend it around him. That burden landed entirely on a rookie. And these numbers show exactly what that costs a roster. The finishing numbers tell the same story from a different angle. Cuts ranked 7th in efficiency last season. This year, 28th. Spot-up efficiency sits at 27th, also near the bottom of the league. And here's the connection. Their three-point efficiency sits at 27th too. So defenses don't have to respect the perimeter, they just load up the paint. Once that happens, cuts get cut off, spot-ups get crowded, and every half-court action loses its space to operate. Put all of it together, and the picture is clear. Dallas gave up on generating offense through structure and spacing. Instead, they leaned entirely on defense and transition speed to survive. That lopsided scoring profile is the reality this team lived with all season. Now let's get into individual players, position by position. On the data table below the chart, pink backgrounds mark a top 50 league ranking. Yellow marks the elite tier, top 10 in the league. Before we go further, here's a quick reference point. Around 780 player impact score is roughly the line for a starter. Around 720 is the bar for a bench piece. Keep those two numbers in mind, because they come up again and again. Start at point guard. And the biggest story here isn't really about a point guard at all. It's about the one who didn't play. Kyrie Irving missed the entire season. He ran the offense last year. Losing him forced Dallas to rebuild its entire offensive structure from scratch. So who's actually holding down this position now? It's Cooper Flagg, a guy whose natural position is forward. Take his player impact score. It comes in at 831. Remember that 780 line for a starter. As a rookie, he's clearing it with room to spare. And his PIE, that's a measure of his overall impact on the floor, lands in the top 50 in the league. There's no traditional point guard running this team, and yet the playmaking numbers say Flagg is doing exactly that job at a level you don't expect from a first-year player. Now look at the backup, rookie Ryan Nembhard. His numbers tell almost the opposite story. His overall player impact score sits at 683. That's below the 720 bench standard. Scoring is clearly the weak point. But his assist ability, top 10 in the league, elite tier. So here's where Dallas landed at point guard. Flagg, the do-everything rookie forward running point, clearing the starter bar on his own. And Nembhard, a pure passer who falls short of the bench bar but brings elite passing. Two extremes, splitting one job between them. That's the position Dallas built out of necessity this season. Move over to shooting guard, the other half of the backcourt. While the point guard spot turned into something completely different from what it used to be, this position tells a different kind of story. One guy became the spacing this team desperately needed. The other shows up with one of the most lopsided stat profiles on the roster. Start with Max Christie. His overall player impact score went from 713 last year up to 723 this season. The real change is his perimeter threat. His three-point ability jumped, and he's right on the edge of cracking the top 50 tier in the league. Look at his three-point percentage, 36 last season. This year, 40. With offense struggling at almost every position, Christie's growth, along with Klay Thompson coming off the bench at small forward, became one of the only things actually stretching the floor for this team. Now look at the other option at the position, Brandon Williams, and his numbers capture exactly what this Dallas roster looks like right now. His overall player impact score sits at 749, solid number, but break it down and his three-point ability comes in at 0. For a modern shooting guard, that's about as bad as it gets from the perimeter. But here's how he makes up for it. He's averaging 13 points a game, mostly by attacking downhill, and his defense is strong. His steal ability is right at the edge of that top 50 tier. So at this position, you've got two completely different players. Christie, shooting from outside. Williams, attacking and defending. Two very different tools, both trying to solve the same problem. Small forward, the anchor spot for the forward group. And this position captures the back and forth roster churn Dallas has been through since last season, with two wings sitting at opposite ends of the spectrum. Start with Naji Marshall, who's become the defensive backbone of this group. His overall player impact score sits at 776, right on the edge of that 780 starter threshold. The progression from last year is real. But look at his three-point ability. Same as Williams in the backcourt, it comes in at 0. His athleticism and defense are legitimate top-tier stuff. But that complete absence of outside shooting adds to a spacing problem that's already hurting this team in the half-court. So who covers for that gap? Klay Thompson. His overall player impact score is 724, and his calling card, three-point ability, sits comfortably inside the top 50 tier in the league. His efficiency from three improved from last season, and his scoring numbers followed. On top of that, his defensive numbers ticked up too. The star power isn't what it used to be, but that outside shot is still operating at a top-tier level. Here's the tension between these two. Both Marshall and Klay grade out well defensively, and both help anchor the wing on that end. But offensively, every minute Marshall spends on the floor with 0 three-point gravity tightens the spacing for this team. Klay, coming off the bench with elite shooting, opens it back up. So the rotation becomes a trade-off, shift by shift. Marshall, a wing with almost no three-point threat in the modern game. Klay, someone whose performance still looks great but who turns 37 next season. With all the questions that come with that age, that balancing act isn't going away. Power forward, the position that decides the balance of this front court. For most of last season, this was Anthony Davis's spot, locked in as a starter. Now it's become the clearest weak point on the roster. The guy holding it down right now is PJ Washington, acting as the primary physical enforcer inside. His overall player impact score sits at 774. What stands out in his numbers is just how far his defensive impact reaches, well beyond what you'd expect for the position. He's a physical defender holding the rim with real strength, and he's become the foundation of this new defensive setup. But flip to his three-point ability and it drops well below average. His outside shooting numbers sit far into the league rate. He's not playing the stretch four role at all. Everything about his game right now is built around physical contact inside. Then there's Chris Middleton, brought in via trade, and his numbers capture the age and transition risk sitting on this roster. His player impact score lands at 693, tough year by the numbers. That all-star peak has clearly faded. And behind that drop-off is a chronic knee issue, heavy injury management that's kept his availability way down. So here's the picture at power forward. Washington holds the paint as a physical rim protector. Middleton brings veteran savvy in limited minutes when he's available. But the lack of scoring punch, plus the durability risk, isn't going away. And that load on the front court doesn't stop here. It pushes even more pressure onto the centers, anchoring the defense behind them. The last position in this breakdown is center, the position that protects the paint for Dallas. This season started with brutal news. Dereck Lively II went down after just 7 games, out for the year. So someone had to step up and carry that load as the starter. That fell to Daniel Gafford. His overall player impact score sits at 779, high-level work inside the paint all season long. Two numbers stand out for him, rebounding and blocks. Both land in the top 50 tier in the league. He's the reason this defense ranks 2nd in block ability and 3rd in rebounding ability, elite paint protection, built around one guy anchoring the rim. Behind him, Marvin Bagley III provided real depth. His player impact score comes in at 751. Rebounding is where he shows up most. When Gafford sits, Bagley keeps that interior physicality at the same level, which is a big part of why this team limits second chance points so well. And on top of that, for a center, his three-point ability actually sits above league average. In an offense that's struggling everywhere else, that's been a useful wrinkle. So here's how the center spot held together. Gafford provided elite rim protection, Bagley provided steady rebounding. Together, that division of labor covered for Lively's absence. And that interior control matters even more when you consider the bigger picture. The guards are getting torched, dead last in points allowed in the paint. Without Gafford and Bagley winning that battle inside, this defense doesn't just slip, it collapses completely. Step back, and this season's numbers aren't just a record of losses. They're the footprint of a complete teardown, one built entirely around making Cooper Flagg the foundation going forward. It started with the Luka trade last season, then Irving missing this entire year, then Davis getting moved mid-season. The cost of all that rebuilding showed up everywhere. 27th in offensive rating, 29th in three-point volume, a half-court offense that basically stopped functioning. But the defense held, 4th in pace, 3rd in transition efficiency, and Gafford and Bagley holding down the front court with real size and physicality. That combination kept the defensive rating at 19th, instead of falling off a cliff. And because they survived that, the outlook for next season actually looks bright. The biggest piece coming back is Irving. Once he's running the backcourt again, Flagg gets to shift back to small forward, where he can actually play to his strengths instead of carrying every playmaking possession himself. On top of that, Lively comes back after just 7 games last year. Pair him with Washington, Gafford, and Sissy, who stepped up this season, and that front line becomes one of the best in the league. But behind that strong interior, there's one clear weak spot heading into next year: shooting guard. Christie hitting 40% from 3 is real progress. Klay's three-point ability still grades out in the top 50 tier. But given the standard for a starter and the age curve Klay is on, this team needs a real perimeter threat. Someone who can actually break a defense down from outside. Keep running Williams and Marshall out there with 0 three-point gravity, and the half-court spacing problem doesn't go away. The whole system is built around guards getting covered by rim protection, which means the one off-season priority is clear. Get Irving a partner in the backcourt who can really put the ball in the basket. And this is where Ujiri's groundwork from this past year pays off. Dumping Davis's contract, plus Middleton's deal coming off the books. That's tens of millions in cap space. Add 2 first-round picks, 9th and 30th. And then there's the front court depth. Multiple guys around 27, similar size, similar ability, more than this roster needs at once. All of that becomes trade currency to bring in an elite player from somewhere else. One realistic path being talked about, a package built around picks and depth pieces for a scoring guard like Anfernee Simons. Another option clears out some of that front court logjam for a modern stretch big like Naz Reid out of Minnesota's crowded rotation, which would line up with the 4-out system Ujiri's been known for. Either way, this offense goes from rock bottom to a real ceiling in one summer, and every move the front office makes this offseason is worth watching closely. That front court depth raises a real question for this roster. Slide Bagley to power forward and run him next to Washington? Or trade Bagley and one of those picks to go all in on Naz Reid or a big-name shooting guard? That's the call facing Dallas this summer. Let me know your off-season plans in the comments below. That's all for today's episode of the Daily NBA Talk. If you enjoyed this data deep dive, please leave a like and subscribe. See you in the next video.